Hey everybody, Gus from Askewed Reviews. And once again, I have a challenge that I'm trying to get caught up on. This time around, I was challenged by my friend Chris at Chris For Real For Real. His challenge for me was to name my top 5 overrated horror films. So these would be horror movies that had so much hype, but I don't think that they lived up to it. Now, it did take me a little bit to try to narrow this down as to what specifically would be my top 5. And here they are in no particular order. First off, I have Rosemary's Baby. Now, mind you, I do still think this movie is a classic, but a lot of people seem to put this in the same category as things like The Omen or The Exorcist, and I just don't think this one was as good as those ones were. I will say this, I do think the acting in the movie was really well done, but as a horror film, I think it gets a little too much praise in that category. Next, I have Paranormal Activity. I realize this is considered one of the classics of found footage, but I just don't think it was done all that well. This is essentially just an episode of Ghost Hunters, like, I don't know. That's just my own personal opinion. The next one I have is Hereditary, and I realize there's some people that think that this movie was just amazing. And I think there are good sequences, some really creepy moments, but I didn't really like this movie all that much as a horror film. Like, it was just kind of okay. The second to last film I'm going to mention is the original Hellraiser. And don't get me wrong, I realize that this movie had a big impact on horror films in general, and I think the entire series is interesting. Mind you, not all of them are good or even slightly good, but there is something so fascinating about the Cenobites and just about the puzzle box and all of that kind of stuff. So I appreciate it, but I do think it gets a little too much praise in the horror community. And the final one I'll mention is the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. I realize a lot of people put this in the same category as Scream for movies that helped bring slasher films back into the public eye. But this is just not a great movie. I mean, there's not a single likable character. They're really all terrible people, technically. And it just isn't that good of a story. So, yeah, this is definitely one that's on my list. So currently, those are my top 5 overrated horror films. And because I feel the need to pass this on to other people, I am challenging Billy, Mary, and Kells.